Today we'll be going over some pickups I've had and some comic hauls and see what I've been picking up besides Ollie packs here lately. Right after this. What's up everyone? T-RAVIS here, and today, like I said, I'm going to show off some stuff. I haven't done a haul video in a while. All I've been doing is Ollie pack videos, and even though I enjoy them, I'm more about collecting than just those. And I've kind of fallen into a rabbit hole of some books, and this is a combination of LCS pickups, eBay, and I've opened this stuff and got it sorted out. You don't want to watch me open boxes. But I just want to kind of show off what I've picked up lately and what I get in these modes of collecting where um, all of a sudden I'll like some type of book, some genre or whatever, and I'll just fully jump down that rabbit hole and go after it, and then I'll go on to something else. But that's just collecting. Your collection's always evolving. It changes, and you get rid of stuff, you get new stuff. That just, at least mine does. And so I've been really getting into Charlton books, and also 80s independent horror books, and some superheroes. I love me some silver and Bronze Age horror books, and I still like my superheroes, don't get me wrong. But some of the covers and some of the art in some of these books are unbelievable. It's great stuff. And some of them are by artists that good cover artists today, and they got their starts there. And so, anyway, enough rattling. Let's just get going. And, I'm not going to try to be too long winded on all this stuff. But the first book I want to show you, in some of these books, I don't buy books solely on value. That's not my collection. And I have really narrowed my collection down. I have tons of stuff. We're going to have, if anybody's in the southern Indiana area on June the 17th, there's going to be a comic show at the mall, the Washington Square Mall, and it's comic books. It's all comics, bunch of vendors. That's going to be my first show I've ever went and actually been a vendor to. And I have got my stuff all torn apart and really thought about, what do I want to keep and what do I not want to keep. And this stuff here is stuff I want to keep, just because I like it, And so first off, let's get started. So check out this Steel Claw #1 from Quality Comics, which Quality was known for reprinting the Judge Dredd, the 2000 AD stuff, and all that. So awesome cover. I love the sayings on this stuff. It says, 10 seconds ago, Louis Randall was a man. Now he's a nightmare. I mean, come on. That's awesome stuff. Here's a weird oddball book. This is called Snarl Beyond the Pale Tales, #1. But look at that weird kind of, and this is a horror genre book. This is like a 90s. This is Chaos Comics. Look at me just throw it down there. Nightmare Theater. But check out that awesome cover. Isn't that great? And like I said, I still like my superheroes and my oddball stuff. I'm an oddball collector. The oddball stuff I love. And usually it's hard to find. The print runs of most of that stuff is just ridiculous. But here's a book. It's called Quest for Dreams Lost, #1. You see that? This is a book that has several different characters in it. The reason I picked this up, this is special issue number 1. The Independence Comics Benefit for Literacy. So this book has uh, Eben Ractoman Wordsmith, The Realm, which is an independent book, The Troll Lords, and it also has a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story. That's why I picked this up. But I thought that was cool. It might be a rare turtle story that you don't find anywhere else. Might be. I don't know. I haven't done any digging on it. And here, like I said, I like oddball. So here's a Red Circle comic, number 1. And this is from the early. This is from the 80s. Thunder Bunny number 1. Which this Thunder Bunny, I believe, was a Charlton comic. Came out in Charlton Comics first before they went out of business. Red Circle picked them up. And I picked up another copy of this. Check this out. The Heap, number 1. This is by Skyward Comics. This is a early 70s book. 25 cents. It's a thick book. Nice shape. In The Heap, this is a Golden Age character. And who does that remind you of? So I'm kind of thinking that maybe The Heap inspired Swamp Thing and the Man Thing. But awesome book. Nevertheless, I really enjoy that. Another book that I collected back in the 80s. Here's a nice copy of FemForce number 1. And of course, FemForce, it's all female. AC Comics put these out. It was a popular, you know what? This book was pretty popular. Mainly because it had half-naked women in it being heroes. But Black had a lot to do with this. And he is known for that. But it is one of my favorite books. That's my second copy of that. And here is a Fantastic Stories number 1. Look at that awesome cover. Who put this out? Doesn't even say on the cover who the company is. But a beautiful painted monster cover. Look at that. Bedlam number 1 right there. And this is by Eclipse Comics. Looks like a vampire, but the art on this is done by the artist, what is his name? Bassett. He was the artist with Alan Moore on those classic Swamp Thing issues. And this is something he did independently. And man, what a unknown independent here. Number 1 issue from Dark Line Comics called Dark Adventures. He is the Dark Angel. Look at that. Wow. Everybody knows David Mack. Classic covers, the Daredevil with Echo and all that. But he's done a lot of independent work. And run across this. This is from Caliber Press. And this is the Jinx Special. I guess it's number 1. Or this is special. There's not a number. But look at that beautiful cover right there. Look at that. Pick that up. John Byrne. He was known for his X-Men and all that. Did a stint at Charlton Comics. And did the Doomsday +1 squad there. Doomsday +1. This is issue 2. I had to pick this up. This issue it's in beautiful shape. I mean, it looks like it's never been touched, but it's a John Byrne. And these covers during this era, most of them look painted. But look at that beautiful cover that right there. And this series is a little funny. It ran, I believe, ran issues 1 through 6, and then it's when issue 7 started reprinting issue 1, the same cover but with different color palettes, and they reprinted the next 6 issues to number 12, and then they went off to modern comics. Anytime you see a modern, instead of Charlton, it says modern comics, that's a reprint, and they put them off in there too. Another awesome book from the 80s by Pacific Comics was that I enjoyed was The Sunrunners. Found this nice copy of number 1 and number 2. So enjoyed that. So Donald Simpson was a creator, and I think that I know him for is for Megaton Man. So look at how Megaton Man. That's just the way he is. He was like it was almost like a spoof character. This one, Megaton Man versus the Forbidden Frankenstein. This is from Staple Syndicate is the company. It's dated 96, so this is in the 90s. But issue number 1 for that. But Megaton Man ran in Kitchen Sink Comics, and what's interesting, I mean, look, I love his covers. Look at that. It's kind of like good girl art. And in this issue, Megaton is kind of dressing up as the Spirit, and it says, "By Donald Simpson, I apologize to Will Eisner, the creator of the Spirit." So he's more or less telling you right there. But I didn't know, that's all I ever known him for. And then I ran across this beauty right here. Donald Simpson's Border Worlds number 1 for mature readers. And the art and stuff in this is not the campy cartoony stuff that you get with Megaton Man. So never seen this book before, and this is in beautiful shape. It's got a little color rub on the bottom, but that probably came out of the press that way. Gold Key Comics, 60s, 70s. I believe they took over for Dell, if I'm not mistaken. But here I found this beautiful copy of Addams Family, and this is issue number 2, the second appearance of the Addams Family. And this book is in bad shape. I don't find them very often, but I couldn't pass it up because I just love watching these shows. But this is, I don't even know what issue this is, but this is the Monsters right there. And Gold Key and Dale did a bunch of TV and movie related books, mostly TV shows. Richard Corbin was a sci-fi artist. He's known for probably a lot of stuff I don't even know. I like that. I don't even know it was his, but he did a comic. This is by what is that? Fantagraph Press. This is Den right here, number 3. But look how beautiful that cover is. That's the kind of art he did. I'm sure he was on a lot of sci-fi mags and stuff like that. Found this really nice copy. And most of this stuff I've dug out of dollar bins, flea market dollar boxes, $2. For the majority, it just sits there. And, you know, this is some great stuff. But here is Dawn, number 1. And if you're from the 80s and 90s collecting, you know what this character is. And look at that beautiful shaped book. I got this for $1. Harry Harrison's Death World #1. Another great independent horror book. Classic sci-fi adventure from the creator of Stainless Steel Rat. Apple Comics. That's another independent comics from the 80s. Did these Blood of Dracula #1. Pretty nice shape. This is a hard book. These books have went unloved and unappreciated, that they've been shuffled in and out of dollar boxes so long. To find them in good shape is a hard thing to do. Here is a #7 of that. And inside of this has early Adam Hughes art. There you go. Everybody knows the famous Adam Hughes. And this right here is early art in there. Eclipse Comics, Seduction of the Innocent. Look at this weird cover. Just a big eyeball staring at you with a guy's face reflecting back. Looking into the eyes of death. It's $1.75 from Eclipse Comics. Check it out. Another oddball weird horror book. And this one, this is from Eternity Comics. It was $1.95, so it had to be late 80s, early 90s. Scarlet and Gaslight by Martin Powell. It looks like a combination of a Sherlock Holmes and a Dracula. Pretty decent cover there. Couldn't pass that up. The Vault of Doomnation #1. Look at that. By B-Movie Comics. It was $1.70 was the price. ACG. So ACG, I believe, does Golden Age reprints. So this says, there's not an issue number. Sci-fi and weird space. Yeah, alien there. Sorry, no, just some on the cover. So it reprints probably some oddball Golden Age horror or horror slash sci-fi. It's probably in here. I haven't thumbed through this yet. I just picked this up. Some of that unobtainable Golden Age horror that's out of the reach of most people. I had never seen this, but Harrier Comics, Shock Therapy #1. Look at that. And actually, it looks better. You can see what it's meant to be better on the camera than you can in person. It's kind of muddied out there. Eclipse Comics, Tales of Terror, the #1 issue. It's got those big bees flying off with the lady who's got all those bee stings all over her body. They're just packing her off. So I said I hadn't give up on the superhero stuff, and I haven't. Picked up another of one of my favorite books, Justice Machine, Annual #1 from Texas Comics. And what's important about this book is it's the first appearance of the Elementals. Elementals. I never can say that right. But this book not only has their first appearance, but it has the Justice Machine and the Agents of Thunder, which are a team from the 60s created by Wally Wood, which is an awesome team. DC tried their hand with doing something with the Agents of Thunder, and they just messed it up. So someone needs to take these great characters and do something good with them. But the Elementals was one of my favorite books back then. And here's a nice issue #1. And this one is also, when you flip the cover open, it's signed. I've actually got 1 through 6. I didn't get the other 5 out, but because they're all, this is signed. They used to not sign on the covers. They would open it up and sign on the bottom page. But this is signed by the creator, and I got this for almost nothing. And this book is hard to get in high grade with that white cover. And this one, it has a whiteness, but it needs a good press, and it got a little crunch in the corner. I think that can come out, and a couple of these little things. I would love to have this in a 9/8. Back to Charlton Comics. Joe Staton. You know him from DC. He did a lot of Green Lanterns back in the day. He did some of the awesome covers. I want to say in the 150 to 200, in that realm. In there's a bunches. I could be wrong, but he did a lot of stuff for that. But back in the 70s, he created this character called E-Man. So there's E-Man number 1 right there. And this one's in pretty decent shape for a early Bronze Age book. This is a 20-cent book. So this is early 70s. In Charlton, their prices were higher. Like in the 68, 69, they had already went to 15 cents, where everybody else was hanging around 12. They were a little higher. Here is a number 2 right there. Just great art in these books. And number 4, I'm missing a number 3. Number 5. Missing a number 6. But here's a 7. And the last one I have of this is the number 10 of the original run. Now, these are reprinted in Modern Comics, but I don't have any of those. And then, so this was, like I said, early 70s. So then when there was a huge independent comic boom in the 80s. Black and white comics. It was just awesome stuff. All these companies were popping up. It was a great time to be a comic collector. But he started his run again at First Comics, started a new storyline. So there's E-Man number 1 from First Comics right there. And number 2. And number 3. Which we all know that's an X-Men 101 homage cover, however you want to say it. And we have characters, there's Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm, and Wolverine all fallen. And that, I forget the name of that female character, but she's supposed to be like the Phoenix, but thought it was a great spoof book, or a homage cover, and had to have it. All right, last little set of books. Actually, I want to show you these magazines. I've been dabbling in some magazines. I got this for almost nothing, but it's in rough shape, but for what it is, I like it. Monster Madness number 3 from Marvel Monster Groups. And, excuse me, it says it's by Sinister Stan Lee. But this book here, it does have a comic story in there. But it takes steals from classic horror movies in black and white. This whole thing's in black and white, and it puts word bubbles with stupid sayings in it. Like on the cover, it says, "I know something, baby. you got class. That's like Stan Lee must have had a field day trying to come up with these campy one-line sayings for all these movie steals in this book. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a Man-Thing story in this. Let's just open it up. Let's just take a look. I thought it was cool. I like it. I want one in better condition now. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so it has, see? And then they go through and put word balloons with silly sayings. So the mummy one, oh honey, these new fashion heels are too high for me. Let's see how stupid it is. Nobody move, I'll get that mosquito this time. Man, if a mosquito did that to his face, yeah, you know, watch out. But it's got Blackula in here. You know, it talks about how they were making Creature from the Black Lagoon mask, a costume, Wolfman and Dracula. And this character here, tell me the Misfits didn't take that from that movie. Right there. You know they did. And if some of you don't know it, the Misfits is a group. There's a whole article on the Wendigo, Marvel's, the Abominable Snowman, of North America, the Wendigo. It's got a whole article on Werewolf by Night. It's got all the covers, and talking to people. I know there's a comic strip in here. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's another book. Anyway, I love it. I love vintage horror, you know. And don't get me wrong, I love this horror stuff. I'm not a big... I like Jason, and Michael Myers is my favorite out of that group. But slasher films, to me, that's not my favorite horror. This vintage stuff here is my favorite horror, and that's what I collect. But also, let's move on. Monsters Unleashed Annual #1. Got this at a pretty good price. This does have a man. This is the one that has the Man-Thing story. It's all. This is all comics, all comic stories. Sorcery #8 by Red Circle, right here, and that is not Green Hornet. I know it looks like Green Hornet, but he has a different name, and how they got by with it is beyond me. But this is has Fawcett written right here. Red Circle. It says Red Circle Comics Group. You know, trying to look like Marvel, but in the little corner here it says Fawcett. So we know who Fawcett is from the 40s and all that good stuff. Captain Marvel, Shazam, for y'all who don't know who he is. But I thought that was cool. Picked this up for a cover alone. This is a Whitman. Grimm's Ghost Stories. Look at that awesome witch cover there. And this statue's falling over, and the man and woman, and the witch is in the sky. I guess he did something, and she's going to take care of him. So the rest of these are all Charlton. And let me tell you something about Charlton real quick. Charlton, man, these books were printed on the lowest. They did not give a crap about their comics. The comics were just a thing to keep the presses running. It was cheaper to keep the presses running than it was to shut them down when they weren't they were printing magazines. Their bread and butter was magazines. They printed all these magazines back in the day when people bought magazines because they just couldn't look it up on their phone or their computer. But in the downtime between the print and the magazines, they printed off all these comics, and they're on crappy paper. They didn't care. I'll show you an example of a miscut. And they chug these things out. And they would run a series, and then they would like stop at an issue, and then the next issue number, it'd have a different title. But it was still the same thing, and they changed the word and or whatever. So sometimes it's kind of hard to track some of these things down, or where they started, where they ended, you know. But here, because like I know this one, Echoes of the Spirit World, Ghostly Haunts number 31. This is from the this is 20 cent. This is from the 70s. Love that cover. And Echoes of the Spirit World, Ghost Manor number 8. So see what they did? Echoes of the Spirit World, Ghostly Haunts, Ghost Manor. And then somewhere along the line, Ghost Manor, it started at a 1, started back over at a number 1. And, wow. And anybody who's dug through dollar boxes have ran across these comics. And they know they've seen these before. The Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves. Right here. This is issue number 5. So this is a Silver Age horror book. My challenge to you is find one in high grade. They were printed crappy to start with. They've been shuffled in and out because of popularity. They've been shuffled in and out of dollar boxes. And find some 75-cent Charltons. 75-cent Charlton books should have been in the mid to late 80s, and they were probably packing up the stuff in their house and turning the lights off because they were done. They were out of business. And some of the print runs on that stuff and just finding them. But there is Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves. These books in good condition are just they're hard, and when you do find them, they are a little pricey. Last book. Of course, this is a Charlton. So this is from 72, and this is Midnight Tales, number 1. Right there. Love that cover. And you know, he says, so this is the Midnight Philosopher, which is the older guy right here. And his assistant's name is Arcane. In their first great issue. And this was created by Wayne Howard. But look, he's got things of brains and tubes. And then he says, and this Arcane is one of Dr. Frankenstein's mistakes. And if you look at the table, there's 2 sets of legs that are put together. So, you know what you're probably... But this series here, there's some great covers, 1 through 8 or 9. But this one here is in beautiful shape. That's why I picked this one up. But love this Charlton horror from the 60s and 70s. Look at that. That's it. I've rambled on long enough. This is a long enough video. Sorry, no Ollie packs. Ollie's, I went to them again. Mine are out. But I have seen that Ollie's has new DC 10 packs. So, hopefully, we'll see if mine get them. Hopefully they will. And because I'm curious to see what's really inside those once you start looking around. So, hey, that's it. And remember, hey, collect what you like.